beeping at me? No. Maybe. No. Okay. Don't stress when you get beeped at. No, that's not it. Today I'll share 11 essential tips for driving through Turkey as a tourist to help you deal with some of the less orthodox situations that you'll be faced with while travelling across this interesting country. We'll cover everything from imitation police cars, scrambled navigation apps to flying pizza boxes, all based on our experience driving 2,000 kilometres across Turkey. Driving here just isn't like it is at home, so take notes as we go because you never know which of these you'll need to be prepared for on your own trip. I wanted to start off with my absolutely favourite tip, and that is these imitation police cars that you see all across Turkey. During the day they're pretty easy to spot, but at night time, the lights on top are lit up just like a police car that you can see way off in the distance, so it does make you slow down. And occasionally, there's a real police car there, so be careful. It's like a cardboard cutout cop as a deterrent for speeding drivers. I'm not sure if they're much of a deterrent, because no one sticks to the speed limit here anyway, but don't let this give you a false sense of security that you're not going to be caught by the police for speeding, because there's still a lot of them around in certain parts, so it's kind of Russian roulette with the highway patrol. This tip might sound silly at first, so I think it's best if we start off with a demonstration, 1 so you can all laugh at me, and 2 so you know what you'll be up against if you get this wrong.
Waiting. My neck is getting sore.
You can help make my neck feel much better if you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel.
Should I just wait to get beeped? Hey! As soon as I took my eyes off, we're good.
The traffic lights here, I don't know how to call it, what, 2-dimensional traffic lights? You don't have the set that's on the line and the other set at the other side. So you don't have like that quadrant of traffic lights. So if you stop too close to the lights, you can't see the bloody thing. Now I've lost count of the amount of lights where I've forgotten this, pulled up close, and I spend 2 minutes either looking straight up here, or I just can't see anything, so I'm just waiting to get beeped at so I know to go. And I'm sure the locals are laughing at this white guy sticking his neck out the window trying to see something. I don't know. We found that navigation apps worked great when you were out on the freeways, but they really struggled with the labyrinth of one-way streets in the city centres. We found Google Maps worked much better than Apple Maps, but still had its issues. Having said that, it's still way better than using a map and an unavoidable part of your Turkey road trip. Be prepared for longer trip times, a bunch of wrong turns, build it into your schedule, and try and be a bit patient. Next, I wanted to talk about driver's etiquette. Now, this varies a lot country to country, and as much as possible, you want to blend in and drive like the locals do. The roads are simply not as well organised as most Western countries, and a patient approach to driving can actually be a hazard rather than something appreciated by the locals. Courtesy on the road can be a weakness. I lost count of the number of times a car's reversing out of a parking spot and I'm sort of waiting for them to come out. They don't come out. They kind of sit there and everyone behind you starts beeping. The guy in front of you doesn't expect to be able to pull out, so he kind of does like a 8-point turn until he can get his nose out and just flow with traffic. And yeah, there's another example where I needed to get across to turn right, and I would have had to cut someone off. So I've thrown the blinker on. I didn't have much space to do this, so I've hit the anchors so this guy could fly past. And he got angry with me, this guy. He was expecting me to cut him off and go ahead, and when I didn't, it was like it created this weird stalemate. And this is an extension of the previous point, but turning signals, they're probably something you should still use. But you are going to have to get more comfortable not staying in your lane. Blinkers are very much optional. I'd like to think I'm a reasonably cautious driver back home. I like to be predictable so people can see where I'm going to go and when. Now, this not using blinkers and not necessarily sticking to lanes either, at first I was like, geez, this is a bit rough, but kind of get the hang of it, you know. It doesn't take long to be like, oh yeah, I'll just sort of slip here and there, and the habit kind of blends in. And I find the relaxed lanes kind of makes you driving kind of feels a bit more fluid when it's crowded. So it's actually not as hard as what I thought it would be initially. You kind of get used to how to just flow with things. If you're too rigid, then you end up sort of just pissing everyone off around you. One thing that you'll notice immediately in just about any Turkish city is how well the local dogs are looked after. A lot of dogs on the street, they all seem to have been tagged, so they're monitored in some capacity, and everyone seems to feed them. Not as in throwing scraps away, but leaving water and dog food on their doorsteps. But some of these have just popped up in really random places on the freeways, and if you're not careful, you'll hit one, which obviously no one wants to do. So
there's actually a lot of them as well around the city.
Yeah, there's a lot of them around the city. So just be careful of our four-legged friends, because who doesn't love dogs? Something that took us a while to figure out is that a lot of the main traffic areas that tourists would go to have boom gates with security so that there is full control over the traffic flow through the area. We mistakenly had thought we'd taken a wrong turn more than once. All you gotta do is pull up to the boom gates and tell them what you're doing there. I think we came across that at the baths at Pamukkale as well. So, follow your map system and just talk to the guards. But when you pull up to these things, it does look like a place, well, like you're pulling up to an army base or something. So, yeah, don't stress, talk to the guards, they'll wave you straight through. Now, I would always advocate for safe driving and sticking to the local speed limits. But geez, they make it hard. No one sticks to them. They make no logical sense in terms of the flow of traffic. Most of the open freeways are speed limit of 90 k's an hour, so not that fast. When there's a way to turn onto the road, they drop from 90 to 50 with no warning usually, sometimes to 30. So it's a really strange thing because no one slows down at all. So if you're in 90, if you hit the brakes and slow down to 50, you're going to be left way behind. The drive we did yesterday, which was a long one, 7 hours or so from Antalya to Cappadocia. Now the speed limit the entire way was 50 k's an hour. If we did that drive at 50 k's an hour, that would have taken us 14 hours. So again, it's not necessarily a question of no one sticking to them. I just don't know why they have them at all. If you're sitting on 100, people will fly past you, easily going 150 k's an hour. Turkey is a really big country, and with all of the wrong turns and delays that we encountered on our trip, we actually spent far more time in the car than we expected to when we set off. So I'd encourage you to be a bit more conservative than you otherwise would when setting your itinerary and spacing out your long drives. You will find that most stopovers have more activities than you expect, and in between cities, there's actually far less to discover on the side of the road than in many other countries that we've driven across. You'll see on our other videos that we missed out on a lot of the best stuff, and look, most of that is my fault for just being too ambitious with the schedule we were going for, and a little bit of bad luck as well. So I'll know better for next time if we ever make it back here, but do yourself a favor, make sure you've got either a lot of time or just go to far fewer places, give yourself the chance to enjoy it, and don't spend your whole trip on the road. We've probably spent a little bit too much time on the road compared to actually doing things. Rookie error, but we make the mistakes so you don't have to. Watch out for flying pizza boxes. Now, maybe not pizza boxes specifically, but we're driving through one of the cities one night and a guy wound down his window and literally threw a pizza box out his window, which we nearly hit the pizza box. So the attitudes towards littering in Turkey seem to be far more relaxed than what I'm used to in Australia, definitely, and most Western countries. So hey, flying litter, it's a thing. If you're going to drive around some rural areas, one important piece of advice is if the landscape looks like a good home for snakes, chances are they're probably in there. So if you're driving past a beautiful field of sunflowers and you're tempted to pull over and take a picture, have a listen to this story first. I thought this was a bad idea, and being maybe a little extra cautious, I mentioned the possibility that there might be a few snakes in the area. She didn't believe me.
No, I
anyway,
did not.
10 minutes later, down this dirt road, would it be at least 6 or 7 foot, this big snake just darted across the dirt road right in front of us. Now the downside is it went so quick that Anne didn't see it, so she still doesn't believe me that this actually happened. But it was like a dark green kind of colour, and it was big, this thing, so I wouldn't want that getting a hold of me. So I don't know what the tip is here. Don't run over snakes, and if you're gonna get out of the car and take a picture with a sunflower, stamp your feet a bit to scare the snakes off. Now that you're prepared for the driving side of things, click on the video on screen now to see our full Turkey road trip adventure.